Welcome to the Montana Garage, where we're usually working on cool stuff like 55 or 57 Chevys, but not today. We got Powerstroke issues. So if you found my channel because you Googled something like my Powerstroke's leaking like a sieve, or Powerstroke oil pan dipstick issues, or something to that effect, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully I can help you solve that issue, but be sure you come back to the channel, check out some of the other videos. We got a 57 Chevy sedan delivery with a mechanically fuel injected big block Chevy, and a 55 Chevy project that is very slowly taking place. Hopefully soon that will be something. Anyways, what's today's issue with the Powerstroke? Well, my first issue is all my toys are in the shop, so the truck I got to work on is outside. I am in Montana, and it is October 31st, I believe. Happy Halloween. We got a nice day today. It's a little windy, so I apologize for the wind noise. I got an 02 Powerstroke, 440 some thousand miles on it. This thing just keeps on chugging along. I got a lot of small problems like this to deal with, but so far she's been stellar. But for the second time now, I'm having an issue with the oil pan dipstick area leaking. So I currently have just your basic hole in the oil pan. There is a flange on the inside of the oil pan that the dipstick fits down into, and then there's this nut on the outside that tightens that all up. And it's a very common problem for those to leak. So there's really two ways to fix this. The first way I've already done once before, and I made a video of it. So I'll put the link down here, up here somewhere. Go watch that video. That's really the cheap way. I don't know if it's the right way, but it's not easy, I guess, but it's the cheaper way to fix it. You just use the original pieces and parts that are in the oil pan, and you have a little tool that holds the internal piece in place, and you replace the O-ring, tighten it back up. I had to buy a new nut because I couldn't get mine started. But anyways, go watch that video. If you haven't used that fix, that's probably the best way to do it. Today's way to fix it, I don't really have any choice because the part inside of the oil pan is now inside of my oil pan. So I was throwing my snow tires on the other day, and when I had the tire off of here, I noticed, I was just like, you can see under here, and I noticed the oil pan thing that I'd fixed before with the nut and the flange from the inside was loose. So I crawled under there, and I should have known better because I've fixed it once before, and I know there's a possibility to drop that in the pan, but I was just trying to hold on to it and get that nut started. My son was in a hurry and needed to borrow my truck, and I messed with it a couple times, one time too many, and the inside flange slipped off of the dipstick and fell down into my pan. But all hope is not lost because there is a part to save the day. I guess the only way to get the oil pan off of these things is to pull the motor, and I'm not about to do that if I don't have to. So there is a part made by Strictly Diesel, and it replaces that little flange with a piece you can install from the outside. So it has this little flange on here, and that goes into the oil pan, and then it tightens down against itself and has the O-rings on there. This is supposed to solve the problem. It is not a very fancy piece. I mean, it's a nicely built piece. It looks good. It's supposed to work, I guess. $300-ish for this. And I guess the main reason for that is probably because they know if you don't buy it, you got to take your motor out. So to me, I guess I don't want to do that. So I spent the $300, and we're going to try to install that and solve the problem. But wait, I said something fell down inside the oil pan, right? I don't know the proper terms for this stuff, but there's a flange, an adapter, or something. There's a piece inside of the oil pan that has an O-ring on it that sticks through that hole, and then the dipstick fits in it. I dropped that trying to get it tight, and so it fell in the oil pan. Now, Strictly Diesel with this part over here, they understand that. They actually tell you, take it loose and just drop it in the pan. It's a big heavy piece. It can't get sucked up. The only problem they say you're gonna have is if you're in a rollover and your truck's upside down, and then you got other big problems. They do recommend, however, to take the O-ring off of the piece before you drop it into the pan. I did not do that because I wasn't trying to just drop it into the pan on purpose. I was trying to get it tight, and it slipped into the pan. So the O-ring also is down inside my pan, and they say they want you to take that out because it can get sucked up into the oil the oil pump screen where it draws the oil, and it could reduce oil flow. Not ideal, I guess. I did a little bit of Googling. Some people say, yeah, I would get it out of there. Some people say, what's it gonna hurt? It's a piece of rubber. It's not really gonna block that much oil flow. I'm not an expert. I'm definitely not a diesel expert. Like I said in one of my other videos, I still don't know where the spark plugs are in this thing, so that tells you what I know. So I'm gonna drain the oil. You don't have to drain the oil to do this repair because it's already below that hole in the side of the pan, otherwise it'd be leaking out of there. But I will drain the oil. It's time for an oil change anyways, and maybe fish around in the hole from the side of the oil pan or up through the drain and see if I can by chance nab that O-ring. But if not, I guess it's gonna live in there, and we're gonna find out what happens. Like I said, I got 440-some thousand miles on this thing. I'm not gonna pull the motor just to get an O-ring out of the oil pan. If I have to pull the motor, I guess we'll be doing some more extensive work that hopefully will not be required. So enough jabber, John. Let's get this piece put in and get this truck back on the road. And I'm wearing my nice sweatshirt today because I am about to be covered in oil. This thing also has an oil leak from the oil cooler assembly that I need to fix. I'm not doing that today. I should have done it a long time ago. You'll see when we get under there, the whole bottom of the truck is coated with oil. Not cool, not good, I know, but I just haven't had a chance to get around to that. We'll do that soon on a video here at Montana Garage, so watch for it. All right, step one for me is I'm gonna try to clean at least a little bit of oil off the side of this pan and everything. So I'm not gonna be completely covered in oil. Like I said, everything under here is covered with oil because of the oil leak, not only from the side of the pan here, but because of the oil cooler up on the front of the motor. So I am going to be covered in oil. We'll just try to get a little bit of this stuff. I'm going to be manhandling a little cleaner first. All right, so we got a little bit of stuff out of the way. We're going to have to get it cleaner around the actual hole of the dipstick there to make the new part seal. But anyways, let's take a better, closer look. There you can see where the dipstick is going into the hole in the oil pan. The internal flange is missing. Like I said, it is just in the oil pan. First thing they say to do, it seems like you have room, but they want you to take the starter off. And the Strictly Diesel people, they actually make a little video and they say, oh yeah, it seems like you have room to do it without taking the starter off, but trust me, take the starter off. To me, it really seems like they're right. You do have room to do it without taking the starter off, but the cables are in the way there, and I don't know. I'm gonna take their advice and take the starter off. So I'm gonna go up above, disconnect the batteries, and then we'll grab some tools, rip the starter out of the way, and we'll go from there. All right, we're back into the truck, got the starter out of the way. What I did is I just left the wires hooked up and scooted her over there, and it seems to be finding a home where it isn't falling on my face too much, but it gives me a little more room. And then the other thing you got to do is there's a nut on the stud that holds the dipstick in place. You got to take that off up above, and then you can pull that out of the way. So now we have a little more access to the hole in the side of the engine. The oil level is just below that. Didn't really have to drain the oil. Like I said, I think I'm going to drain it because it's time for an oil change, and I want to see if I can get that O-ring to come out of there. There's also supposed to be an O-ring on the end of this dipstick, and she gone also. So that O-ring could have stuck inside the part, as well as the other O-ring that's on the flange that's inside the oil pan. Hopefully that's not going to be causing me some issues, but anyways, next step, say I'm going to drain the oil, and then we got to get this super clean around the side of the pan, because now the new part seals to the side of the oil pan. In their instructions, they say some oil pans, they say something like all oil pans aren't created equally, and some of them have a little divot or something, and so you may have to use a little RTV as well. But mine seems pretty flat, but there is a fair amount of you know, built up grease and oil and dirt and whatnot on there. So I'm going to stick a rag in this hole to try to keep some of the bad stuff out of the engine, and then we'll get this scraped off, use some brake clean, get it as clean as we can get it. All right, so I got the oil drain. I tried to watch it come out. I did not see the O-ring come out. There really isn't much fishing around I could do once with the drain plug. Yeah, like I stuck a little Allen wrench in there, but that's about really all I can do. I can tell that I can hear that piece, the inside flange or whatever that fell to the bottom of the pan. If I knock on the bottom of the oil pan, I can hear that clunking around, so I know it did fall to the bottom of the pan. But no sign of the O-ring. I don't think it came out in the oil. I watched it and I didn't see it. I guess I'm going with there's not much I can do. There's an O-ring in there. We'll see what happens. You guys that know better, or that know what's going to happen, you can leave me a comment down below and tell me that I'm screwed, or it's not a big deal, or whatever you guys think. Anyways, that's what I'm going with. There is a O-ring inside my oil pan. It is what it is. So this is the new piece, and so how this works, they have one bolt with a little weld on it so it can't come out of there. The other one they tell you to take out, so we'll take that out, and there's a little copper washer on there, so I'll try to not lose that. And that allows this guy to do this number. So we'll put this inside. I'll try to show you this under there, but it's gonna be hard to see under there. So we're gonna fish this through the hole in the pan, rotate it around till there's a little tab missing on the side of the pan, so that flange that goes in there, and then you rotate that around, and you got to just find the hole again, and then you tighten the two nuts up, and then this has O-rings that seal against the outside of the pan. And like I said, they do tell you to try to take a look and make sure you don't have any gaps that you may need to use some RTV, but most of the times you don't. And I think mine seems pretty flat, so we'll hope that's the case. So we'll crawl back under there and see if we can get this bad boy in there. All right, we're back under the truck with the wind, and I can't see what I'm showing you guys. There's no real good way for me to show this under here, but I'm putting a little bit of blue Loctite on the bolts that they give you. That's what the instructions call for. Actually, it says just put it on the one, and I was going to put it on both, but they have some sort of thread sealer on the other one already, so that's why they tell you just put it on the one. So that's what we'll do. Now let's wipe this off one more time. I think she's pretty clean in the immediate area where it has to be. Clean and dry. Fish that through there. And it can't fall off because this nut has a welded end on it. And then you have to find the little tab. And I think I just found that. Let's find out again. Rotate it. Yep, so we found the little tab. Then they tell you to stick this bolt through here. Oops, almost lost my washer. Don't want to do that. The washer goes back on. Now, tell you to use an Allen wrench, which I need a shorter one apparently, to rotate. I might have to get a shorter Allen wrench because it's too short this way and too long the other way. So when I'm turning that, it's lifting that inner piece up. I'm hitting my starter wires. Darn it. I gotta get, well, let's see. I got this other thing in my pocket. Maybe it'll work. Got an Allen wrench that goes on a ratchet. Okay, so you turn it until it hits this screw. You feel it hit, and then you just gotta get lucky and find the screw hole, I guess. Alright, so there it hits it. Rotating a little further. Oh, I can feel it. I just felt it hit the hole. But now I have my Allen wrench in the other one. Oh, might have got it started. I got it started, but I slipped out of the little notch. Go back in it. All right, now it says to be sure and tighten them evenly, and it's pretty adamant about not over tightening. It gives you a torque reading, but it's like in inch pounds or something. I don't have one of those torque wrenches, so it also just says just do not over tighten. So I'm trying to go with that. That one's finally snugged up pretty good. This one's getting there. All right, so trying to just not go crazy. There we go, we'll call that good on that. And yeah, so it looks to me like I got a good tight seal all the way around. There's no big air gaps or anything, so I don't think I have the issue where the oil pan needs a little RTV on it. So that takes care of that. We got to get a new O-ring on this dipstick tube, and one comes in this kit, so I'll go grab that and we'll put that back together, and we'll be back in business. All right, here's the O-ring that comes in the kit, genuine Ford parts. I can get it out of the genuine Ford plastic bag. All right, there we go. So this bad boy goes on the dipstick tube. It says to lube it up a little bit. That's the good thing about having oil pretty much everywhere on the bottom side of your truck. These are all set with a little bit of lubing up action. All right, so we got to get this onto the dipstick tube and into the little groove. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but there's a little groove that you slide it into. All right, we're in. And now, keep the starter from falling on our face. This is loose from above, so hopefully I can, well, it's supposed to be loose, but it's jammed on something. All right, well, I guess I'm gonna have to crawl up above and find out why I can't get the dipstick tube to go back up. All right, so it's hooked onto a little bit of wiring. like a wiring tube. I'm just too lazy to take that apart, so hopefully I can just kind of force it up. I don't really feel like it. I feel like from up there I could pull it up a little bit. There we go. But now we gotta get to go back. I don't know how I had that starter so it was out of the way the whole time, and now I can't get it to stay up there. Well, I guess we'll put it in here. Alright, so this thing's kind of binding up. I may have to go take it apart up there. That'd probably be the right way to do it. Hang on. Alright, there was one little wiring clip thing holding that together, and it made it a pain, so it took like 2 seconds to remove it, so I would recommend that. I'll show you when we go back up above. So there we go, she slid right in. We got to make sure it's on the stud up above though. I bet it's probably not. So let me start these starter bolts, and then we'll go check that out. This top one's kind of a bugger to get to. All right, 1/2-inch sockets to tighten those up. You guys don't need to see that. Let's go look up above. All right, here we go back on top of the truck. All right, and see right here, bracket has to go on this stud, and we're very close. So now it's on there. We'll have to go back down and just make sure we didn't pull that out of the O-ring out of the dipstick there. And then this one little clip right here. It's so hard to see everything, I know, on this wire loom. Right there, that's what was binding me up. So it took like 2 seconds to release that, and then she went in nice and easy. So pull that back down. I have it's probably a 13mm nut. I had a 1/2-inch wrench handy, and that worked. I think those are virtually the same. So we'll get this tightened up. I'll get this started, then I'll go back down below and make sure I didn't pull that O-ring out, and we'll button everything up. All right, so there we have it. Everything's all buttoned up, all the tools are put away. Crawl under here one last time, show you guys what the finished install looks like. So there we go. It's a pretty simple fix. It's way easier in my opinion to do this than to fight with the O-ring and stuff in the other type of repair. Now that said, this repair was 300 bucks, the other one was 30 bucks, so you can probably struggle a little bit on the other one and make it work. I'm not sure why that failed on me before. You know, I tightened it up. I can't remember if we put Loctite on it or not, or if it required it, but that nut just came loose again a second time. And yeah, so we went with this repair this time because we had no other choice. I wasn't really planning on the oil change portion of this deal. I just was hoping to be able to find that O-ring. So I got to run to town real quick, buy some oil and a filter. We'll come back and dump that stuff in, and then we'll start her up, make sure she's not leaking, and that'll be that. All right, we're back from town getting the oil and the filter and whatnot. Got her filled up and running. Take a little peek here. Listen to it rattle. You guys are upside down. And there is no oil coming out of the dipstick. All right, I don't know if you could hear me with the truck rattling, but long story short is I've had it running for quite a few minutes. There is no oil leaking from that dipstick adapter we just put in. There's oil leaking from pretty much everywhere else. Actually, like I said, it's just the oil cooler, so I'll have to address that real soon because it is pretty bad. But anyways, until then, it's back on the road. I thought this was a pretty simple repair, pretty slick little part that they got there. You got to pay for it, and it's 300 and some bucks. If you guys are interested in doing this repair, I will have a link to the part in the video description. You can go to Amazon and get it. It doesn't cost you guys any more to buy it that way, and then I make a few bucks commission if you buy it through my link. So it helps the channel out. I appreciate that. Once again, it is a strictly diesel dipstick adapter repair kit. Yeah, pretty handy, pretty simple, pretty easy to install. So thanks for watching. I hope that helps somebody out. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and then come on back for more videos, and we'll be working on hot rods. See you next time.